Hello and welcome to SharePoint Basics training. In light of the recent S Drive migration, we wanted to provide some basic knowledge about using and working within SharePoint. As we work through this, I want you to keep a few things in mind. The first is that SharePoint offers you multiple ways to complete a single task, and you'll see this several times as I work through the presentation. Although this can be helpful once you get used to it, it's also a little bit confusing at first, so use the features that you like and ignore the ones you don't. SharePoint is web-based, which means what once were folders or documents in the S Drive now exist as sites in SharePoint. Each site has its own unique URL that you can use to access your documents and conveniently share with team members. Web-based documents allow you to work on the same document simultaneously with other Uable team members. So it allows real-time collaboration and a little bit less emailing back and forth. If you ever feel lost within SharePoint, always return to the Uable SharePoint homepage, and I will show you how to do that. It's kind of easy to get lost in there, so we understand that, and we'll show you how to reorient yourself. First off, select a web browser that you would like to work in. You could use Chrome. I'm going to use Edge. Now you'll see that I already have the SharePoint site tagged at the top, but if you've never visited or you don't have it bookmarked yet, the site is uable.sharepoint.com. So you'll visit that site. Once you've arrived to the Uable SharePoint homepage, you can bookmark it like I did, so it'll just show up at the top of your browser by clicking this star, and that will bring it to the top, so it's easier to access next time, and you don't have to remember this URL. On the Uable SharePoint page, we have a bunch of pretty pictures. We are thinking about ways to use that more efficiently for like announcements and things like that. Beneath that, you will see more about Uable, things you can do, and Uable resources. These blue boxes, many of them are under construction and being updated, so that will all be current information eventually, though it may not be at the moment. Under Uable resources, that's probably what you'll find the most useful right away. You'll see the policy and procedure manual, templates, and team member resources all located here. So you'll use that pretty frequently, I would imagine. To start, we're going to go through some navigation tips. There's a lot of ways to navigate through SharePoint, and this is where it kind of gets a little bit confusing, and you'll see why. The main thing to note at the top of the page is SharePoint Hub. The SharePoint Hub looks and feels the most like the S Drive, and you'll use it probably the most frequently. So remember this one. I'll go into more detail about that later on. Who we are is under construction. Again, that will be updated as well. And Uable Home brings you back here. If you click SharePoint in the upper left, it will bring you to sites that you have access to. This can be confused with the Uable SharePoint start page, so just know that this is unique to you and what you have access to. In the upper left, you'll also notice the square of squares, and that is the app launcher. If you click the app launcher, you can open any of these applications from within SharePoint. Make that go away. Now I'll go over the left taskbar. But before I do that, just to reorient, I'm going to go back to the Uable Emotional Health homepage. Now, this menu over here is your left taskbar. Again, what you're seeing right now on the screen is the Uable SharePoint homepage. So it's a little confusing when you see this home in the left, and if you click it, it brings you to your personal home. This is the exact same information you saw when I clicked SharePoint. There are many ways to do the same thing. So just know, think of this home like your personal home. This is what you have access to. So always click the Uable Emotional Health page to navigate back here. The globe icon underneath the home gives you a side menu of your frequently visited sites that you have access to. Is that the same as the home and the SharePoint? Yes, it is. That's all the same information. It's just displayed a little bit differently. So beneath the globe icon, you have a little newspaper that brings you to your news. We don't really use that yet. Maybe we will in the future, but for now, you can ignore it. Beneath that, we have a piece of paper icon that shows you your most recently accessed files. So that's really helpful. Beneath the paper icon, we have what looks like a stack of paper, which is my lists. Another one that you can ignore for now. We don't really use this yet. And last, beneath the list icon, we have this plus that is circled, and that is the create button. That allows you to start a new document or site, I guess I could say, right from there. So this will open a fresh PowerPoint presentation, a fresh Word document. You get the idea. Now I'm done with the left taskbar. And now I'm going to focus on the SharePoint Hub. As I said before, this will look and feel most similar to the S Drive. If you click SharePoint Hub, it will bring you to this page, which has links to all of the sites, previously known as folders, available within SharePoint. You won't have access to all of these, only the ones that you have been granted access to. Because I have access to the compliance folder, I'm going to use that for the sake of example. So if I click compliance, it will bring me to the compliance site. This is the home for all things related to compliance. You can search through folders if you know where the document is that you're looking for, or similar to the S Drive, you could also search. For the sake of example, I'm going to search for the viewable training plan. So that exists within the compliance folder or site, and here it is. You should know that there are two different ways to open documents. One is to open it in the browser. Working in the browser allows you to work on the same document simultaneously with other team members who have access to that document. Or you can work in an app, and I'll show you both of these. Working in the app is probably what you're used to. It'll feel more familiar. However, when you're working in an app, you can't collaborate unless you do it the traditional way by emailing back and forth. So to open in the browser, that's what I'm going to show you first. All you have to do is click the name of the document. Pretty easy. When you're working within a browser, one of the many ways you can share are to just copy and paste the URL into the body of an email, or you can use this share option in the upper right. I'll go into more detail about those later, so we're going to forget about them for now. So that's working within a browser. It opens as a tab, and it will have a URL, and that's how you know that you're working within the browser. To work within an app, I'm going to close out of this document if I can. To work within the app, you need to click the 3-dot ellipses to the right of the name of the site, aka document you're trying to open. You click the ellipses, open, and it will give you the option to open in the app. So now instead of opening a new tab in my browser, it's opening the document in the Excel spreadsheet, or in the Excel app, I should say. So again, this is useful if it feels more comfortable to you than working within SharePoint, you're going to open in the application. One thing I want to point out while you're working in an app is this autosave in the upper left-hand corner of the application window. Definitely keep this in mind and take note of it. If your autosave is on, it will automatically save your work. If it's off, it won't, and you'll have to actually click File Save or the Save icon in order for your work to be saved. So just take note of that. It should default to on, but there may be times that you don't want it to autosave until you're ready, in which case you would want it off. Now I'm going to move into sharing files. Again, the upper right corner, you can always share from there. Share, copy link, you can paste it into an email, that's always an option. If you already know you want to share the document before you even open it, you can click this share arrow to the right of the document or site name, type in the name of who you're trying to share with, and hit send. Additionally, this gives you the option to copy a link and paste it into the body of an email. That's pretty much always there. Another way you can use this box is to manage your editing privileges. There might be a document that you want to share that the recipient shouldn't edit. If that is the case, you click the gear icon, and under More Settings, you can change the privileges of the recipient. So they can view, but they can't make any changes, or they can edit, or they can view it, but they can't download it. All of that exists within the gear icon. Now, let's say that you want to share your document, but you're just trying to do it in the traditional way. You can always do that too. Whatever documents you've recently accessed in SharePoint should pop up to the top of your recent items, so you can attach it in an email just as you're probably used to. So, lots of ways to share, so many ways to accomplish the same thing. You'll also notice I'm in the compliance site. If you need to share a site with someone who you have permission to share it with, you can hit the share button in the upper right, and that will share the whole site. So there are other permissions that are involved in that, but that's how you would do that if you wanted to. I'm going to go into a few more things about requesting access and permissions. And to do that, I'm going to revisit the SharePoint Hub. So I'm going to the Youable Emotional Health homepage and clicking SharePoint Hub. And I just want to show you what it will look like if you don't have access to a folder. So right now I don't think I have access to the day treatment folder. So I will click day treatment and you'll see this permission screen. You need permission to access this list. So you can make a request, write a little note, and hit send, and that will send a message to the site admin and let them know that you are requesting access. Just because you're requesting it doesn't mean that you'll be granted it. Just keep in mind you won't have access to everything. Other things to keep in mind are once you share a document with someone, you can't undo the share. So please be thoughtful about what you're choosing to share and be sure it's within the scope of your job responsibilities and the scope and responsibilities of the person you're sharing it with. Sites and documents can only be shared internally, which means if you share with someone outside of the organization, the recipient won't be able to see what you shared. If you need to share documents outside of the organization, you need to do it the old-fashioned way by saving a document to your computer and attaching it to an email. Be sure to encrypt the email if the document contains PHI or privileged information. Hopefully that information all made sense to you and you feel comfortable navigating around SharePoint. There will be more resources listed after the video portion of this Canvas training, so please access that if you just want more advanced skills or feel that you need more education around how to use SharePoint or have any specific questions.